Hi everyone, Lana here. Let you see my face a little longer than normal. I thought I'd do a farm update. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2020. Haven't done a farm update actually since this past spring last year. It's kind of a rough year. Calving season is probably the worst one I've had. Didn't go all that well, and then we had a late spring and it was cold and wet, and things didn't get started very good. I worked at one of the local girls around here owns and operates now a greenhouse she started working at 20 odd years ago now, I guess, and she needed help on one of her satellite greenhouses, so I talked to her, and so I worked there until end of June. I raised some broilers this year. Got them about the end of May, and 25 actually. And I did get a garden in, but it didn't get in late. We ended up with frost and hail about the 20th of June. And anyways, my mom got diagnosed with cancer in mid-July, and she passed on in mid-September. She was only 70. That was sort of rough because my grandfather is her dad, and he's 96, and so he took all of it pretty hard, and so I had kind of my work cut out there, keeping that sorted, and he was having problems with blood pressure and eye twitching. His Bell's palsy he got several years ago flared up about the time we got the news of my mom. And Jim was having a problem with his urinary stuff yet, so there was a lot of things going on, a lot of things to deal with, and so it's been kind of a crazy year, but I still kept going. I hay to do, cattle to take care of, move around, animals to take care of and stuff, butchering to do, hay to make. Got to keep going and keep doing your stuff as much as you can, like manure hauled and things of that sort. So we got our first snowfall in October, and that was sort of crazy. It was early October, and it was like 3 or 4 inches, and I wasn't happy. The cattle weren't happy. The horse wasn't happy. Chickens weren't happy. Nobody was happy. So but we didn't get a frost until really late in the fall either, so actually that was sort of nice. It prolonged the garden, which I did eventually get in, and I'll talk about that as I'm walking around here. But and then winter came, so there we are, and now here we are with all this lovely snow. So that's kind of a quick recap of the year, and so now we'll just kind of talk about everything else. Get me off here because I'm not that interesting. So I ended up with 7 calves out of 11 cows. I had 11 cows to calve. That was the plan anyway. So I ended up with 7 of them. And one actually came late in the middle of July. There's a little baby right there. And that's all kinds of interesting things going on. So we have 2 bulls and 5 heifers. So I had 1 cow that was open, 2nd year in a row, probably a cystic ovary and who knows whatever else, but kind of a little backstory on that. I don't know if I'll go into that or not, but then the other 3 calves, there was something wrong with them. They weren't right. The first one wasn't as evident, but the other 2 was a little more visible to the eye. But I knew there was something wrong, and so they didn't live. And one was actually a birthing challenge, but there was still something wrong with him. I haven't had to pull calves for, I don't remember the last time I had to pull a calf from this spring. It's been honestly that long. Gosh, 1999 I think it was. I've been on this farm for going on 25 years, into March here coming up. Just a little backstory on that quick. And I started making farm payments to my grandparents about 3 years later. So, we've been here doing our thing for quite a while now. So these are the calves I have this winter, who will become possibly replacements in my own herd. Maybe one or two of the heifers, and the bulls might go to somebody else's place if they need one. But mostly probably for meat purposes. This is kind of what I raise them for, grass-fed beef. And I have several customers. I butchered 4 head this year for customers. And 2 of them were for myself because I have my 4 cats. Guess I haven't really introduced all my cats. Snicky's is 19, and he's pretty rough looking. He's had a rough last couple of years with aging, and he was kind of the main reason why I went back to the... I have done raw food diet off and on, but sometimes cats are a little harder to migrate that than dogs and whatnot. So they get kind of addicted to that cat food. Anyways, so my cats have been on a raw food diet it'll be 2 years in November. And Snickers has had a lot of problems in his latter years prior to that. And I thought, well, I have nothing to lose, so here we are. And he's been, off and on, but he's actually gradually getting better. He's actually started gaining some weight, so I don't regret my decision. I know that in the end I'd rather, why sell my cattle for peanuts and buy cat food, inferior cat food, expensive inferior cat food, however you want to look at that, have my animals get sick. So decided that's what I needed to do. So I butchered a couple of beef for us, all of us, and the cats. And then if my sister wants any. So old Sharab here, he's going to be 22. And he's doing all right. He's starting to show his age, get a little swayed back, but he's still my buddy. Anyways, aren't ya? Come on over, bud. Say hi to everybody. He's sort of ignoring me. Yeah, you can't get over here. The snow's pretty deep. It's been sort of fun cleaning again this year. But he's doing all right. Who knows how long he'll live. We had a pony that lived to be, I think he was close to 30 when he finally passed on, and he had a lot more problems. This Shrub is pretty healthy. I have to freely admit, he's pretty healthy, so he probably will live for a long time. So I ended up selling, of the 11 cows, well, actually, I reduced the herd down to 8. So I sold 3 of my cows, actually all the ones that were open. One got butchered, the younger cow. The other 3 I took to the sale barn and sold. That either were she was open because of the problems I was having due to other circumstances. And the other 3 that lost their calves, the one was an older cow, we called her Grandma. 98, how old was Grandma? 98 model? So she was getting up there in age, but I don't think that was a problem. I've never had problems with her before. So I kept one of my yearling heifers, that's her right there, as a replacement. And then I have the I had 3, they'll be coming 3-year-olds now, but I had 3 of them, and one of them is ones I had problems with. And the other 2, I didn't, and so they're in the herd, and then all the rest are, I think the oldest cow now is the cow we call Ma, and she's 2008 model, so 12 years old this year. I think Grandma was 14 when I sold her. So old Pet here, my old pet cow Pet, she got hurt this summer after having her calf late. Ain't you, old girl? Yeah. And we never did figure out what happened. She had no visible signs of injury or sores or anything like that. No scars or marks. And she had problems getting up. And walking, she was really stiff, really sore, and a lot of pain. And I was like, oh man. And of course, she had her calf late this year. She was the late one. And she was fine, you know, it was a couple weeks in before she ended up with this injury. So it wasn't from birthing. And she's a pretty seasoned cow. Pet's a 2010 model. So she's 10 this year. And I've never had issues with her in the past. But it was a lot of stress on her, and she lost a lot of weight. She's never been skinny, but she was really skinny this summer. And so I worried about her. Did a lot of hoping and praying that she would come through this on her own. So I always kept a good close eye on her, make sure everything was okay. And she's actually gaining weight. And I'm not going to say she's probably not a little arthritic or whatever from it, but she's doing all right, and that's the important part, because I really hated to get rid of her, yet she's a good cow. So we had that little fun thing this summer, and so yeah, we're down to 8 cows, 7 cows and a horse, 4 cats, and about 20 chickens. I sold my 2-year-old herd bull to the neighbor. They needed a bull, and I was going to sell him anyways or do something with him. So I sold him to them. And then, of course, I butchered 6 head. And so everybody but one yearling heifer got butchered. And I had 6 of them. And so, total. So I butchered 5 of those, and then sold that meat for meat, and then the other 2. So I really whittled my herd down, but I got about 70 bales this year off my place. I got about I normally can get 25 to 30, it depends on the year, and with our late spring, I only got somewhere around 25 or less bales off that front field. So I figured I was down probably total right around 10 bales from my norm. So I did have to buy hay, and that was quite challenging for me, considering I think some hay that I've bought in the past and some grains. And I haven't fed anything but oats for quite a few years now, and mostly just to my calves to help them through our cold winters. I think that was part of my problems, and maybe I'll explain that more at some point. But so I'm really adamant about the chemical sprays, herbicides, and whatnot, because in the end they're very, very detrimental, health-wise, reproductive-wise, fetal development-wise, things of that sort. So when I kind of figured out, I know what I'm feeding at every moment of every time I feed. I know where the hay came from, what field, who I bought it from, if they told me they get it off here, there, or wherever. I know what I'm feeding all the time. And lining things up, so to speak, and figuring it out. Kind of deduced down to, I really have to try to figure out how to get more hay off my back fields, which will be a challenge because that's really sandy. If I could get what I got off this field, but this is more clay out here, I would never have to buy hay. I'd have plenty. Might even actually be able to keep a couple of extra animals. But there's some challenges on this farm. We're up here in central Minnesota, near the Brainerd area. There's a lot of sand and swamps, and there's some good farmland, but it's kind of like in between here and there, and whatever. And you're more likely to run into more sand and lowlands than anything. So it makes it sort of a challenge. My grandpa had a really good farm on the old farm. Sometimes I wish that he'd come up a few years sooner, but not really, because I finished college at the university there in St. Cloud. Graduated in the fall of 93? Spring of 93. It's been too long, don't remember. 93 anyways, give or take. Few months, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next, and there was some external influences on my decisions and over the course of the years before then and at that time. Might have had the old farm, which was, like I say, it didn't have challenges on it, but there was a lot more better land. I mean, this 80 is not bad, but there's a lot of trees, and then there's some lowland, and then the other 80 is actually, you're getting toward more sand and lowland, so that's kind of where we're at there. And so trying to build that up, it's been sort of a challenge, and of course it takes money and time, and some of those things are kind of short in supply. So kind of that in a nutshell, but here's the chickens. So far this year, well, we lost 3 chickens to a neighbor's dog. My favorite critters. No, I really like dogs, but not when people just move out in the country and decide to let them run free, and then they're a hazard to farm animals and probably even wildlife in general. So we lost our rooster and two hens this spring to the dog, and we even caught it in the act. It didn't get the one chicken it had, but it had it down. It was just trying to tear all the feathers apart. So we're down to 20 chickens, no rooster. And I did lose one this fall when they were molting. They were really molting late, and they molted right in our first cold spell. Well, they were finishing up, and they weren't quite ready yet. And I think the one that passed on was just had a little hard time dealing with the cold. But we got feathers there. Well, there's just a Polish. I'll look it up. I got it when I got my broilers. You get a free chicken, and Feathers was our free chicken. So I haven't decided if Feathers is a girl or a boy yet. Feathers hasn't crowed yet, but it's been its summer with the broilers, and until I got done butchering. I butchered all the roosters first. Everybody got huge on me again. Things just got away again. And so I was left with the hens in my straight run. But I turned them out to run around and scratch. Because the roosters are a little aggressive, and I didn't really want them bugging my laying hens. So I tried to eliminate them as quick as I could. And they were sort of hard on the other chickens, the other broilers and whatnot. So the girls enjoyed themselves, though. They would go out, scratch under the trees, or run around the yard and do this and do that. They'd be all over the place. They got huge. Wish I had pictures of them, but I don't. And they were Feathers' friends. But they had been mingling and commingling here with the layer hens, and so they were sort of adjusted to each other. So it wasn't too big of a hardship for Feathers. I mean, they did pick on her at first. Him. I'm thinking it's a her. But they seem to all be getting along now better. And so they've all grown their feathers back, didn't ya? And y'all been on a sabbatical of egg laying for, must have been pushing 2 months there, but just shortly after the shortest day of the month in December, on the 20th, 21st, whenever that was, they're starting to lay again. So we're up to 3 chickens laying because I have 3 different eggs. Of course, now we're going into a cold spell. One reason why I'm doing this, because I can be outside and I won't freeze to death. After today, it's going to be cold for a while. So I thought I'd go ahead and do an update, but kind of walk around the farm as much as we can. So the chickies are starting to lay again. And we just kind of go with the flow of the sunshine and the weather, and they're like clockwork. Fall comes around, they molt, days get shorter, they're molting, they're laying less eggs, I mean, heat and cold affects that too, but then as soon as the days start getting longer, we start in on the egg laying again. We just let them do their thing. I'm hoping this year to actually, this house has been at least revamped once since I built it 17 years ago. It was originally sort of a hoop house top to it. And I did some different things. It needs some work. And actually, I want to move it. I got to move a few things here. I got to move this little calf hut. And I have some chives, garlic and regular, rhubarb. I think there might be some comfrey. Did I move all the comfrey? There might be some lovage in here, I don't remember now. But I was starting to slowly get things up. This is the only section I have left of what was in my fenced-in garden at one time. And it's just a battle with the quackgrass. I mean, it keeps the critters out, but I can't keep the quackgrass at bay. So I'm just kind of cleaning everything out, moving stuff around, and I'm trying to refigure out how to keep that at bay. And actually I was talking to, can't think of his name now, at Edible Acres. They have quackgrass there too, and he says it's a battle for him, so I don't feel alone now. But creeping rhizomes are just terrible things to deal with, and they creep in everywhere and anywhere, and the only thing that I've found that really seems to stop it is it needs to be shaded, and it needs to have a competition tough enough to outcompete it, which means the plant that it's competing with has to grow way, way faster than it does it. And it's a cold weather plant, and it starts growing so in the early spring, that stuff's starting to grow already. It's growing in the late fall. I mean, it might slack off a little bit in the summer because it's more of a cold tolerant plant. But I mean, that stuff hits it before anything else does. So the only thing and he kind of said the same thing, is he's found that because the comfrey that we have grows fairly quickly and shades it out. That's what he's found has helped to keep it at bay if he makes a comfrey border. And and I've found I don't find it in with the trees, but see, the trees are bigger, there's more competition for light, and it thrives on light and cooler temperatures and trying to have it compete out with natives or something else. I mean, even it'll grow in with mint, and everybody knows how competitive mint is. So it's really a tough plant to deal with. But you're kind of left with tilling. I've tried raised beds. It gets in raised beds. It's just, you can't mulch it. It grows in the mulch. I mean, it grows everywhere, anywhere, on a speck of sand. It don't care. It doesn't. The soil type, it's not fussy about that. It's really competitive. I mean, the only good it's for, I've found out. I mean, I've always known its nickname is cat grass or dog grass. And it's good for indigestion. The kitties like to eat it. But the rhizomes are good for urinary tract issues. It's kind of like a demulcent. The rhizome roots are the creepy crawly rhizomes, and so it's good as a demulcent to help lubricate and heal that and marshmallow root. One day I'll explain how I learned that. So anyways, it does have a couple of uses. Other than that, I really hate this stuff. I got all my manure spread this year. Well, I didn't get it all spread. I got it moved. I had 5 piles. I had one here, one straight back there, one just over a little ways, and then I had that big one last year when that was there all winter. And then I had another one I made up that was where that hay ring is right there. The 2 places that I fed the cows, they had manure there. And they were all of various sizes, the biggest one being at that far spot. And I got those all moved, and what wasn't broke down enough, which it wasn't, not all of it was broke down enough, I ricked it up. And I put it where I can spread it next spring out in my back fields where it's a little drier. So I got 51, my little John Deere 34 spreader with the Oliver and the D15 doing the hard work. We spread and piled up 51 loads this year. Last year was 56. And I got that done this fall. And I got my manure spreader all cleaned up before everything froze. It was great. So I was happy about that. Had to buy hay. Paid $60 a ton for it, which was lucky because the hay's been really, really high. But it was a Timothy, upland type hay. I really scrutinized it, hoping that it hadn't been sprayed or anything like that. And so far so good. I have one cow out there that won't touch anything that's been sprayed. She will not eat it, absolutely refuses to eat it. I've seen her do it time and time again, and I've never had problems with her, and she's eating this hay. So to me, I think that's a good sign. And but we'll know this spring. If I have trouble again, I'll know that's probably where my problems lie, because I don't spray anything on this farm. Nothing at all. I won't have the stuff on my farm. So I know it's nothing I'm exposing my cattle to or not doing or whatever. So I know I'm good there. So I had to buy, was 34 bales. They're around 1,200 pounds a piece. They're about similar size to what I make, but weight-wise, they're kind of different sizes or different shape. I think they're taller and shorter, but so that was 34 bales, around 24,000 pounds, and I got that pretty late in November. I was really hoping the snow wouldn't come back, and it did hold out till after I get that done. So we did feed earlier today because we're going through that cold spell, and so I fed the calves and the cows already. Horse I fed a couple of days ago. We had to buy a new feeder because our feeders are sort of getting beat up and they're just not lasting anymore. So I'll just walk around a little bit while I'm talking here. So you can see how much snow we've gotten. We've gotten 4 storms so far. The one I told about earlier in October, that all melted. And then we got one, I think the first one we got was in December, and we got about 80 inches or so. And it was heavy, wet. Ugh, terrible stuff. Wilderstead, there in Canada, knows about that. They got kind of the same storm. Then we got a smaller one after I got that all cleaned out about a week later with about 2 or 3 inches of snow. I was going to see if there was any tracks around here while I'm walking and talking here. There's some bunnies been around. I haven't actually seen the bunnies, but I've seen their tracks. Squirrels, I've been seeing the squirrels out and about. There's a squirrel track there, I think. So that was 3 or 4 inches. I finally got that cleaned out. And then this last storm here, before the first of the year, was it? Before Christmas. Around Christmas time, that's when it was. We got somewhere between 4 to 6 inches there. And that was heavy, wet stuff. Well, you can see when it gets heavy, wet, and it piles up and makes big snowballs. Great for making snowmen. Cleaning it out is a pain in the butt. So, and we've had a couple cold spells. Well, we had a good one there after that first heavy snowstorm we got in December. And now we're going into another new one. And my poor hay wagon bit the dust this summer, hauling hay up. There was a rotten spot in it. You couldn't really see it. And crashed. So I need to tear it all down and rebuild that. And, always something to repair, maintain, replace. And it's fun. Always something to do. Never a dull moment on the farm. So, I'm hoping that, I think this will be a lot better year. I just have a feeling about that. Things started going better, with the exception of my mom passing, but really, technically this fall, things really started going better. Just didn't seem like the obstacles that there was. I see the birdies haven't ate all the crab apples, but the deer have been eating on whatever falls. So, yeah, I think 2020 is going to be a better year. And I'm looking forward to that. So, I think, just an update here. It's been a while, so this video is probably a little bit longer than it should be. But, yeah, I got the big things I wanted to get done, needed to get done, I got done. Not everything. I mean, I got a list. It's a revolving list. Something gets set priority over something else. It's kind of how that works. But like I said, it seemed like obstacles were falling away toward this fall. Things just seem to be going a little bit better. So I'm hoping that trend keeps up through 2020 and we have a better calving season, better luck with all the animals in general. better luck with ourselves and our own health. My grandpa and Jim especially. Keep working on what it needs to be worked on and keep whittling away. Hopefully one day I'll finally catch up maybe. Well, I guess I will sign out and work on my other stuff. So I'll sign off here and say bye to everybody. Hope this was enough of an update. I know I was not around this summer. I didn't even watch a lot of YouTube videos. I tried to watch a few, but there's just so many things going on. And just so many crazy things and so many things. And it was just hard to keep up with it all. And so YouTube went on the back burner. And just how that works. Sometimes priorities of what needs to be done takes place over other things. So there's our update on the farm, what went on this past year or so. And hopefully with this new year, we have a better year. Take care, everyone.